Hello and welcome to another episode of Broadcast. There have been a lot of headlines lately about Spain cracking down on tourism.
Yeah.
Some even calling it a tourist ban.
Right.
But before anyone cancels their trip to Barcelona,
Yeah.
we're going to take a closer look at what's really going on.
I think that's a great idea because it's a fascinating situation, really. I mean, Spain is essentially trying to find a balance,
Really?
between the economic benefits of a booming tourism industry
Yeah,
and the well-being of its residents and environment.
exactly.
Yeah.
So let's start with the basics and define overtourism.
Okay.
It's not just about a lot of people visiting, is it?
No, it's not just about the numbers. It's when the volume of tourists starts to have a detrimental effect on the destination itself.
Got it.
So think about, the strain on resources like water and energy, the pressure on infrastructure,
Yeah.
and even the potential for cultural erosion.
And we're seeing this play out in Spain in some pretty concrete ways.
Yeah.
One of the biggest issues I keep reading about is the housing crisis.
Yes.
What's the connection between tourism and locals being priced out of their own neighborhoods?
Well, that's a great question and a big concern for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Think about the rise of platforms like Airbnb.
Mm,
They've made it incredibly easy for tourists to
Yeah.
find short-term rentals,
right.
often right in the heart of popular cities.
Exactly.
The problem is that this has driven up rental costs significantly,
Yeah.
making it increasingly difficult for locals to find affordable housing.
Yeah.
For example, in Barcelona, some studies have linked the rise of short-term rentals to as much as a 17% increase in average rental prices
Wow.
over the last 5 years.
17%. That's huge.
It is, and that kind of price hike can really force residents out of their communities.
Absolutely. And it's not just the economic impact.
Right.
I imagine dealing with a constant influx of tourists can also put a strain on the local culture.
Absolutely. You're right to think about that. There's a real concern about the potential loss of local character.
Yeah.
Traditional shops and businesses can be replaced by souvenir stands or big international chains.
Right.
There's increased noise and congestion, and local customs and ways of life can be overshadowed by the demands of tourism. It's
Yeah.
about finding ways to ensure tourism complements rather than overwhelms the existing community.
So on Broadcast today, we're talking about what Spain is actually doing to tackle this over-tourism problem.
Yes.
Because it doesn't sound like they're closing their doors to visitors entirely.
No, not at all. They're taking a multifaceted approach.
Okay.
One strategy is to try to curb the proliferation of short-term rentals.
Okay.
Malaga, for example, has implemented a temporary ban on registering new short-term rentals in some areas.
Interesting.
It's a way to try to stabilize the housing market and give residents a chance to catch their breath.
That makes sense. But what about tourists who already have trips booked or those who prefer to stay in hotels? Are they going to be impacted?
Not likely. Hotels and resorts are largely unaffected by these regulations.
Okay.
Spain is also focusing on stricter enforcement of existing rules,
Got it.
like noise ordinances and safety standards,
Right.
particularly in areas with a high concentration of tourist accommodations.
So it's not just about new rules,
No.
but really making sure the existing ones are being followed.
Exactly.
But I'm also seeing a lot about Spain trying to encourage a different type of tourism altogether.
Yes,
What's that about?
that's a crucial part of their strategy. They're actively promoting sustainable tourism initiatives.
Okay.
They're trying to diversify the tourist experience by encouraging visitors to explore less visited regions, engage in rural tourism,
Yeah.
or participate in cultural experiences that offer a deeper understanding of Spanish heritage.
That sounds really interesting.
For instance, they're promoting agrotourism,
Okay.
where tourists can stay on working farms and experience rural life firsthand. Or there are cultural tours focusing on traditional crafts, like pottery or textile making in smaller villages.
So it sounds like they're trying to spread the benefits of tourism
Yeah.
more evenly across the country and showcase some of the hidden gems that might otherwise get overlooked.
Precisely. It's about moving away from a one-size-fits-all approach to tourism and creating a more sustainable and enriching experience for both visitors and residents.
Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
What does all of this mean for someone listening to Broadcast right now who is planning a trip to Spain? Should they be worried?
Well, I'd say if your vision of a Spanish vacation involves staying at a beachfront resort
Right.
or exploring major cities while staying in hotels, you're unlikely to see any significant impact.
Okay.
It's really those planning to rent apartments or houses,
Yeah.
particularly in already saturated tourist zones, who might
Yeah.
encounter some limitations.
So Spain is still open and welcoming to tourists, but they're just trying to be more mindful about managing the impact of tourism.
Exactly. They're trying to find that sweet spot,
Yeah.
reaping the economic benefits of tourism while preserving the quality of life for its residents and protecting its cultural and environmental heritage.
And that begs the question.
Yeah.
Will these regulations be enough in the long run?
Right.
Or will more drastic measures be needed down the line? It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Absolutely.
Thank you for tuning in today, everyone. We appreciate you spending your time with us.